Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and in this video I thought it'd be really fun to look at like sort of my abject failure of completing my reading goals in 2020. Actually, I shouldn't say abject failure, I mean, I put in a good effort and I got like 3 out of 6 goals, I think. Though considering I had about like 2 extra months where I didn't have to work and stuff, I should have, easily accomplished like all of that just like almost in like those 2 months, but yeah, 2020 or something, right? I had 6 goals I set out at the beginning of the year. Like I said, I think I did like 3.5 or 2, yeah, like 3.5 ish goals, I guess you could say. But yeah, let's just go over them and see the ones I did and kind of just make fun of me for the ones I completely just failed at. So goal number 1 was super easy and it was definitely a gimme. I even said in the video, I basically put it so in case I fail the other 5, I'll get this one. And just read 52 books in the year, 1 for each week or whatever. And I do that as my Goodreads goal like every time, even though I know I always like hit it and whatever. Like this year I'm already at like, of course I say I'm already at, no, I'm at, let's see, I think 141 with like another week to go in the year or something. So I'll probably do like 143 if I had to guess. But actually I got a bunch if I just like read those and just like finish them off. I got like 6 books I think that I've like halfway through that I just, want to take my time finishing, I guess, or something like that. But yeah, that was definitely just like kind of a gimme. So, but 1 for 1. Number 2 was finish or catch up on 10 fantasy series. I did 1. I will say I did 1. Let's see, I finished, what did I finish? I finished the Powder Mage trilogy by Brian McClellan by reading like Autumn Republic in, I think, January or February, when I was really gung-ho about, completing the goal and whatnot. I was like, look around as if I don't always put my books like right there every other time. But anyways, aside from that, I started a couple other series, but my fantasy reading, this was by far and away the worst fantasy year that I've had since being on BookTube for a couple years. Not even close. I don't even know if I got double digits. Like, fantasy books, if you don't count the Warhammer stuff. Yeah, that was bad. Like, this, I'm not even gonna I just completely failed. Pretty much I've started I think about 35 series and I finished I think a grand total of 5 ever. Like ever in my like entire like life. So that was just a lost cause. But let's just move on. Number 3 was to read more ancient history books, and this had like kind of a second part, which I left it just kind of read more and then read 40 books between ancient, classical, and medieval history. Now, in regards to ancient history, I just failed. I think I read 2 books on ancient history, which I consider anything before kind of like the classical period of like Greece and Rome and stuff. So anything like ancient Near Eastern or that sort of stuff. Because I'm kind of separating like my anthropology books from ancient history. I think they're kind of different. I probably would have been about 10 maybe if you count the anthropology books, because I got an anthropology kick in like August and September for whatever reason. But yeah, other than that, my ancient history reading was just dismal, and the year before that was dismal. I don't know why I say I'm like I'm a ancient history reader. I think I read like 6 or 7 books in 2 years, but hey. But I will say between reading the 40 between those 3 eras, I think I got 38. Of course, if I only read 2 ancient history ones, that means I read 36 between medieval and classical, which is actually really good. Kind of want to get back into reading more classical and medieval histories and stuff. And I will say I read a lot of general histories, I guess, like histories that didn't really fit into like a lot of things. Like, I read like some histories of like alcohol and beer for whatever reason. Stuff like that, I guess, if that makes sense. So it wasn't like in my normal wheelhouse, things like that. But definitely my history reading, I think, picked up from the year before, which is a good thing, except for ancient history, which apparently I just don't do good reading ancient history anymore. But yeah, if you've made it this far into the video, don't forget to check out my Twitter and Instagram, all that kind of good stuff. But most importantly, if you want to support the channel, check out my Etsy shop where I sell signs like this Nietzsche one here. Also a lot of other like kind of like Viking stuff and literature stuff, things like that. Adding more every week, hopefully. I'm not gonna promise anything, but been doing really good actually in the past like 2 months, just adding more and more stuff to the store. And a few of you guys have already been buying stuff. Thank you so much for that. And now let's just keep going after that plug to number 4, which was to read 10 books in the Heresy series, which if you don't know what that is, It's kind of like this giant prequel series to Warhammer 40k. And I want to say Horus Heresy is 54 books plus 8 books in the ending sub series. Plus, there's like a bunch of spin-off series, like the Primarch novels, and then there's like standalone stuff. I didn't quite read 10. I did read 5 directly in the Horus Heresy series, which is pretty good. But I also read 2 books in like the Primarch series, plus like another kind of spin-off title. So I read 8 out of 10, I guess, in that kind of like collective Horus Heresy era, which is pretty close. But I actually read another 8 books in the 40k universe. So I was like 1 for 1 in like 30k to 40k, which I thought was pretty cool because I hadn't really read anything in 40k yet. So I just kind of like jumped in and read I think I read 3 Gaunt's Ghosts, and then the other 5 would be kind of just like kind of a little bit of this and that. I guess kind of like all over the place because 40k is such just expansive, just kind of lore universe thing that there's just like there's literally probably like 100 series in 40k and stuff. So I'm not even really sure where you're supposed to really go about starting and stuff. But overall, I read 16 books in Warhammer stuff. So I think that's kind of just replacing my general fantasy reading. When I do my library tour, I do feel bad for everyone who followed me for fantasy. I think I got rid of about like, I don't know, 40% of my fantasy books, stuff like that. But anyways, so that's pretty good actually. So let's see, I read enough. I read 52 books, did not read fantasy, did not read ancient history, but did read, I'm counting the 10 books and like Warhammer, Horus Heresy stuff. Now for a complete failure, which was to read a Oxford very short introduction book every month. I started the year off really good. I read 4 by the time April was through, which would have been 1 a month. But after April, I didn't read 1. So I got stuck I was 4 for 4 apparently, and just was like, nah. I honestly don't know. I always have really good intentions with the very short introduction series, and then I just like kind of fall off the bandwagon, and I guess I need to be like more disciplined with it. And they're not even long. They're all like between like 90 and like 130 pages or something like that. So there's not even like a good reason why you couldn't just like bang a couple of them out. Like I don't know. Don't ask me. So, but that was just a complete failure too. However, on a high note, my 6th goal was to read 25 books in kind of like nature or the environment on those topics and stuff, which is probably like my #1 subject now, I'd say, for reading material for me. And I actually read 47 works so far that dealt with either animals or plants or ecology or the environment or kind of climate change or conservation, anything like that. So actually I felt really good with that because it's almost like 4 a month. So I definitely say it's probably like my most well-read subject now, concentrated subject now, which is kind of interesting because before I started booktube, I read it kind of very sparingly. Then each year it's like progressively gotten more and more. So definitely should do some more videos, I guess, in front of my nature collection because like it's not in this room. It's kind of got its own sort of area and whatnot. But yeah, so that was my year apparently, trying to go over my goals or trying to reach them, or forgetting about them or not attempting them and just completely failing at a few of them. So there you have it. Let me know if you set yourself any goals for 2020 and whether you were able to kind of achieve them or not, whether quarantine or lockdown or shelter in place or anything, that if that actually helped you or hurt you in any way, shape, or form with reaching your goals. Because I know a lot of people actually did really good just from like my Twitter feed and stuff, like kind of reading more. But then I think some people just couldn't like get their mind like into reading just because of everything going on and whatnot. So yeah, let me know if 2020 kind of let you reach your goals or not when it comes to that sort of stuff. And always remember, whether you did good with your reading goals or not in 2020, read victoriously.